Wi-Fi, okay, green, mic in, lapel, Twitch page, I'll get this worked out. Mute, close the ads, pop out the chat, move it to the mail window, enlarge it, type size up. Oh, look at this Paul's here already. Good morning. I'll try and be up more in the evening now for you, so Europeans can see this a bit more easily, you know. We'll see. It all depends on how busy the shop is. So. Anyway, here we are. Looks good. Up and running. Get to work. After that chaos yesterday, it'd be nice to have a steady, clean session here. But the bad news is it's just going to be mostly dots here for the next little while. This group of dots too, they're much more isolated than the ones I carved yesterday, day before, which means so much more white space here. It's also a very nice, cool morning here in Tokyo. Good news and bad news. It's pleasant, but it could mean our summer is gone, you know. Autumn is, it's a definite autumn feeling in the air here. Bunch of people coming on. Good morning, guys. People, I keep saying guys, that's not so good, you know. Good morning, people, friends, whatever. The breakfast show. Today's special guests. Actually, speaking about that special guests, you know, I know Sugi-san upstairs, she did the last video with me last week, and she was really a bit nervous about that. Her husband too was not so happy about her to do that. He's worried about, you know, putting his wife or her being online and people might say things, or stalking or whatever. But the comments in that YouTube video were our normal comments. People were happy to see her, happy to get to know what's going on. So she feels much more comfortable, confident now about this idea about being a bit more in public. So what we'll be doing is, probably not this week, because there's just too much going on this week, but sometime in the not so far future, one of these sessions will be, I'll take the camera upstairs and I'll put it on the printers, and I'll sit hosting it from the laptop, talking and looking at the chat, answering questions, while the actual view of the camera will be on the printers, and we'll move it around. Printer 1, printer 2, printer 3, whatever. And that should be really fun for a change, instead of this dot carving every day, you know, I mean. So we'll explore, as we get into this, we'll explore many more options for these Twitch streams. So it's not just my carving bench all day, every day. There's a spot here in this corner when I was not finishing, but doing this area last night. I was doing some cutting here, and something I did confused somebody, and a question popped in after the chat had finished. There's a place, you look at this, there's 3 lines. This line comes down. This line bumps into it, sort of a T, and this line bumps into that one, sort of a T. And with all of our carving here, there's a real basic fundamental rule that we absolutely must carve with the brush strokes. I know. In other words, if I carved along here to this corner, and then carved here to this corner, and then carved here to this corner, I'm carving out this shape. That would seem to make sense, but it's no good because this part of the line here is actually part of this line. And if I carved this corner first, and then later on carved this corner, those 2 parts would not match up. And the finished print would look really, really strange, because this was actually a brush stroke. Somebody drew a line here with a brush. So we must carve this line as a single unit. We can't come around the corners. But what do I do? Because this thing comes into it. And what I did last night, and what confused somebody, is I put the knife in here. I was going to redo this, it's already cut, but I put the knife in here, came along, cutting, and I cut straight through that T into the new zone. And then I did the same thing again here. I put it in, and I cut straight through there into here. And it looks bad, because it looks like I'm going to cut off this little piece. Well, no, because what I did was I put my knife in quite deeply here, cutting deeply, lifted the knife up so it's just scratching the top, and then plunged it back in here. So this keeps the line as a real line, doesn't pop out that chip. I have to be careful when I'm doing, well, let's flip it around, let's do it now, it should come later, but when I do this part then, I can put the knife straight in, move along, I'll cut that later, and now this corner should come out carefully. Trying to be super careful not to screw this up. And there we are. So now we've got our full T. This line is smooth like a brush stroke, and this line is a tiny bit delicate. It's been slightly undercut, but not enough to make any difference. It won't be pulled off. Let's clean this away so you can see. And there we go. We've got a perfect setup. Another thing that helps even more is when we print the key block, we do that with black Sumi ink, black calligraphy ink, and it's got a fair amount of glue mixed into it. So what happens actually is after you've printed any given key block, 50 times, 100 times, 150 times, whatever, that black ink has seeped into all the cracks and crevices of all this thing. It's got glue in it. And a block that's been printed a bunch of times actually all those corners get tightened up and glued up and strengthened. Okay, let's go. What's next? Let's clear out this waste first and then start the dots. I don't see anything in the question box. Okay. Crunch, crunch. spot there. You can see big red wood. Look at that, really hard, brittle. I might lose a dot or two there. We'll see how it goes. Deep. Dots in this area, they're big enough to have shape. I mean, there's actually a body, a curved side, a flat side, a point. They've actually got shape, so try and catch it. We were talking about this yesterday. It doesn't really matter one by one. Nobody can see them or comprehend them, but the overall effect matters. If you get them all a bit too small or all a bit too big, the texture changes. And the dots are here to create a certain feeling of texture, and if you get it wrong, what was that all about? Is this the most dots I've done on a block? No, 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 no. This one is light. This is no big deal. I know, anytime you take on a hokusai print, if it's got landscape and stuff in it, wow. I know, there are just a bajillion dots. That's how they produced, you know, like landscape textures and stuff. This one is nothing. It's really light. Some prints, the dots and stuff. There was one I did, it had like a couple of trees at the top with a million leaves and then dots all around for the soil. It's no big deal. It's not a negative. Oh, here we go. There's dots. No fun. It doesn't matter what you carve. I'm still going to sit here X hours. Those smooth lines and stuff are, yeah, they are more, I don't know if fun's not the right word, they are more pleasant and pleasing. There's more sort of meaning to them. But whatever, it's part of the job. You just do it. I think if I were a dot specialist in the workshop, it might not be so much fun. But I don't think there was such a thing. Also, too, I know I'm not doing it now here for obvious reasons, but when I was carving back in Ome, for example, all the years by myself before we started doing this shop thing, I had a massive, wonderful music system in my room. It's still there, just sitting. Big speakers on the wall behind me. It's a concrete, isolated room. I could crank it up. Neighbors can't hear anything. Bass woofer. Listen to music or radio. Or BBC has their information available all over the world. You can listen to their radio stations. A very, very peaceful, happy life as a carver, Productive work. You get to see good results at the end of it. Totally no stress. There's no boss, not at the point of the knife anyway, Nobody bothers you. I can't imagine a better setup, This is actually now, for the past few years, it's what I've been looking forward to, getting back to this life. I don't know, among the people watching, what's going on, but we've, after years of massively expanding our action and activity in business, from one man, myself, now there's 19 or 20. I don't know how many to count. There's one down last week. I'm not suited to be the boss here, I got the vision for the place, but doing all the stuff every day. So finally now, with a lot of help from the supporters, we've broken out of that, where we are in the process of breaking out of it. And I'm going to be a carver again. There's so many more prints waiting to be made, Don't see anything in the question box today. Maybe my mail is broken. Actually, I can ask about this. I did get an email from Twitch, or, automated email or something from Twitch this morning. And it was funny. Yesterday when Twitch went down, there was at first, I thought it was just me, so, I'm down. And over on a Reddit thread, somebody said, Dave, you've been taken down for violations. And it turned out not to be me. It was the whole system down. But there was a fear in the air that because of this image, maybe that I had been taken down. So I've covered it up today, whatever, just when we get there, the part that somebody might not find acceptable. But rather than be taken down, I got an email from them this morning, and I haven't really looked at this. I don't know what it's all about. The Twitch system is inviting me to become an affiliate, or something of that terms, whatever it means. And right away the email started talking about how to monetize your channel and stuff. And here we go again, same as with YouTube. for me, not in any way have any interest in monetizing this, nor do I have any interest in asking people to pay for this. So I don't know what their system really works well, if it's possible to free ride here without turning on ads and subscriptions and whatever. Or if they're going to not let that continue. YouTube seems to not mind. I don't run ads on it. And I had originally thought that YouTube would sort of not look at me friendly that way. It's just their system. It wouldn't recommend it because we had no ads, so what's the point from YouTube's point of view? But there's somebody who is in that field straightened me out on that with an email saying, Dave, YouTube is very, very, very happy. You're just bringing people to the channel, people watch, people stay. They could care less whether you run ads or not. So if Twitch turns out to be the same, then I hope so. We'll see. But I'm not, period, not going to turn on any please subscribe or please pay or whatever buttons. We've got our own business, and then plus on top of that we've got that Patreon thing we do for a very specific reason, which people have helped us with. Other than that, the idea of charging for access to this content just seems ridiculous to me. So as much as the platform will allow it, it's going to be as open as we can make it. Careful, right? Everyone's making some funny noises, Oh, nothing in the question box. It's okay. Was Jed here this morning? Hello, Jed-san. Talked to you so much yesterday. Jed and I are quite a lot on Skype, back and forth with each other, sometimes for planning, whatever, different work going on. And sometimes just whatever, he's just sketching on his machine and I'm doing something at this end, and the chat, the Skype window is open between us, He'll show me a screen share sometime of some project coming up. And there's sometimes we've got a Skype going and talk about something specific and then not talk a little bit and sort of almost forget that it's there, that we've got these computers. I'm at my end doing something or other and he's sitting there drawing, and we almost even forget that the other guy's in the room, This whole thing with Jed, 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago this spring. He sends this email out of the blue, Dear Mr. Bull. We'd had contact before, actually. We'd had a tiny bit of contact email a couple of years before that. I don't know who'd written to who. He'd written to me or I'd written to him. I don't remember. Somehow I'd seen one of his illustrations or whatever and thought that might make an interesting print. Maybe I wrote to him. Jed, do you remember? I don't know. About 7, 8 years ago. Nothing came of it. I know he was a busy student and I had stuff going on. It was just the seed of an idea that at some point I'd like to make a print of one of his designs there. I even remember it was a girl looking in a plate glass window and there's a reflection and rain on the street or something. One day, we got to get back to that idea. Anyway. So we'd had a tiny bit of contact, but nothing came of it. And out of the blue, the guy writes to me, Jed writes to me in the spring of 2012. with this idea. He sent a scrap of a little drawing that he'd made of a video game character, you know, fighting. And then proposed, let's do the, can you make woodblock prints of this idea? We'll copy video game characters into ukiyo-e style. And I guess a lot of people know, my first reaction was I didn't go along with it. I basically told him, no thanks. Because a couple of things, I didn't get it. I was busy in real financial trouble at that time. We were actually going under as a workshop. I was ready to go back to a solo worker. I'd made an attempt to hire a few people to start this idea of having a workshop, but it wasn't working. There was no revenue. So I was just trying actually to wrap it up. So when his email came in, I wasn't interested in starting something new on top of that. So I turned it down. The whole concept of Ukiyo-e Heroes, I turned it down. But he didn't give up. He wrote back, and I guess because I didn't seem interested in it, he asked if I could introduce somebody else who would be. And we actually started that process about trying to find another workshop who could do it. You know. I don't remember the exact sequence. I guess I was semi-helping him try and find somebody else, get quotes or something. And then one of the days we were doing that, he sent a design. And up to that point, he just sent like little sketches. And I didn't get it. They were just scribbles, you know. I don't mean that in any insulting way. What I mean was they were not worked out pictures. They were the kind of sketch an illustrator would send to an editor for approval before they started the real work. So I didn't get it. And then while these conversations about finding another carver were going on, he sent that first rickshaw cart design in pretty much finished form. And that's the day when we, in our workshop, we looked at it. I took it downstairs to the girls who were learning their printing. I said, here's the latest image from that young guy over in America, you know. And they went apeshit, you know. Oh my God, look at that, that's so good. Can we carve this? Can we print this? Can we make this? You know? And that's the point when, for me, finally, the penny dropped. And I realized, actually, look at this. These people are interested in this. Somebody's going to like this. This is good. So I wrote back and said, you know, forget that other workshop. Let's, what if we try doing this for you here? You know, so we did. And now you know the rest of the story. I heard a question beep there. I better do my job here properly. Excuse me here. I got glasses on, glasses off, glasses on. Oh, there's a question from last night too. Look at this. I hadn't noticed that. Okay, two questions here. Okay, ground house, left-handed knife hand. Oh boy, you want to talk about that for an hour. First one here, somebody last night asked about this tool. I don't know if I can get it visible. There's a little, we have our normal carving knife. Then there's the chisels, which take out the zones in between. These are sharpened, actually proper, normal Japanese sharpened steel. Then there's this thing which somebody saw last night. I'll try and put it down here, like this. And it's actually not an actual knife chisel in the sense of sharpened steel, carefully laminated, hard steel, soft steel. It's a sewing machine needle. A big fat sewing machine needle, and in the middle of it you can perhaps even see there's a thing hollow there. That's where the thread came down. This was originally a round sewing machine needle. And I would never have thought to use such a thing, but Ito-san, the old carver, you know, the guy who's in that video, I did, which has been so popular on YouTube. One of the times when I was visiting him for a TV show, he had pulled out his tool, and he starts rattling about tent. And I'm like, what's the guy talking about? Tent. And because my face was blank, he keeps repeating it, tent. I heard the word, but I didn't get what are you talking about? But at some point he gave up trying to just knock it into my brain. And he gestured about, and what he was trying to say was, when they're sewing canvas to make tents and stuff, they have these big fat hard needles to sew canvas. And he had got some of these and got on the sharpening stone and shaped them up into this. And the idea being, it's really strong, some kind of spring stainless steel or whatever. And you couldn't break this by driving a truck over the thing. And we're using it, I'll try and demonstrate, we're using it as a pry tool. A normal chisel, you have to slice. You can't poke with a chisel. You just break it. Normal Japanese, a sharpened beveled edge. Let me try and get something cut here, ready for it. Here you go. I have two choices here. I can chisel this out, slice. But if I tried to pop this out with my chisel, it'll just break the edge. But somewhere along the line, he or his teacher or somebody or whatever had found the idea about using this. Just stick your steel in, pop it out. And you can't break this thing for love or money. So that's what it is. It's a bit of it's like an ice-ski chisel, and it's sharpened and ground on my stone, but it's not sharpened in the sense of having a nice edge and look at it, and it's just a poker, chipper, picker, whatever you want to call it. And it's handy having it around. That you get a bit of a stiff bit of wood, and you don't want to stress your chisel because you know it's going to chip the edge of your chisel. Bang, you just pop it out with that poker. I have no idea if that was his idea or how far back it goes or whatever. I'm going to get it in my list of questions next time I see my friend Asuka Sensei, trained classical carver. See if he's got one or tools like that. He's either going to say, of course we do, or he's going to say, what? Hey, that's a good idea. I don't know. Bit of a hard spot here, gotta be careful. It's up and down, hard, soft. This is against the grain here. Actually, talking about Ito-san, that reminds me. The video I did with him, like the 28-minute long, half an hour long video, about a year ago. It's our most popular video. It went, viral in the sense of, in my niche market, it went viral. It's been collecting views bit by bit, and I noticed yesterday. Actually, let me just check right now. YouTube page, video page reload. Look at that. It's got 499,913 views. Sometime later this morning, sometime later this hour, it's picking up a couple hundred an hour. So sometime later this hour, we're going to have a video that has 500,000 views. What I would really like to do, I can't do it. YouTube doesn't give me that flexibility. I would like to identify viewer number 500,000. Here's a prize or a present for you. And YouTube isn't that fine-grained. It's just going to bump up in jumps. But that feels really, really nice for me. 500,000 views of that story. Where am I? I'm getting lost again, sorry. I have to remember, though, that, not all those people watched all the way to the end. Of course, I've looked at the analytics in the back, and honestly, actually, to tell you, it's not even half. The what do they call it? Retention. YouTube gives me retention statistics for the videos, and you can see a graph. People click it, any given video. So that's 100%. The people that click is 100%. Then within a few seconds, some people bail out. So by the time 10 seconds comes along, there's only 97% of the people left, whatever. And all videos show that within the first few seconds, or 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a whole bunch of people bail out. Nope, this doesn't look interesting, I'm out of here. And then at some point, that graph stops dropping, the people who decide to stay. And with my videos, all the videos have exactly the same pattern. The first few seconds, it drops hugely down to about whatever, 70%, 50%, 40%. But from that point on, it's a rock-solid straight line right to the end. So the idea being that you've seen the video recommended to you on the right-hand side of your YouTube page, whatever. What's this? I don't know. Let's click and have a look at it. Old guy talking. Yeah, I'm out of here. So a bunch of people are out of there right away. But of the ones who stay after the first minute or so, away they go. So when I point to the story being 500 numbers shows on their click count, 500,000, it means only about 250,000 people have listened to that story. But that's, okay, I think I've finished that zone. The suckers are carved, the dots are carved, we're at the edge of this. Let's move along. I want to keep the woman for the last. I want to do the octopus first. So let's follow this one. Again, remember what we were talking about earlier? Here we go. I've got to go straight across. This is a hard spot too. It just make it easier. Go straight across this line, lightly, and plunge. We'll pick that up. Oh, let's go right to the end of it. It's close. And here we go. Now we can start in. Just straight in there at the T. And now we're safe. This line looks straight because we cut straight through. Well, I see now too, there was another question there in the question box a minute ago about the knife. A long, long, long story. I know, telling it so many times in these videos. I know there is a page on the website explaining about it. The question being, is it a right-handed knife or a left-handed knife? I'm using a right-handed knife, but I'm using it left-handed way. If I zoom out, I guess, just for a minute here, just to try and talk about this, I don't know. A right-handed carver would normally carve with his right hand, keeping the knife on the flat side of the line, but he would carve outside, looking over the top of his hand. I'm a lefty, and I learned this way, carving on the inside, because I had no one to show me what to do. So I should be carving this way on the back, using a left-handed knife, but I never learned how to do that, and at 65 it's kind of late to start now. So I carve on the inside, using a right-handed knife, so it keeps the flat side on the line. So if I try and change hands in midstream here, this is a lefty carving with a right-handed knife on the inside. This is a right-handed person carving with a right-handed knife on the outside. Same gesture. Cut this way. Lefty cutting this way. Oops, too far. Sorry guys, jerk this around, sorry. Whatever, just simple, quick answer. Lefty carving on the inside. The point being, whatever it is you're doing, whatever kind of knife, whatever kind of setup, as much as possible, the flat side of the blade stays on the wood to be retained. That's just the #1 rule to follow. The traditional way is much better. I really wish I'd known about that earlier. As I said, it's hopeless for me to think about changing now. It's better. You can see what's coming up. Whereas with my method, you can't see the line, you only get a chance to see it at the very last second. Whereas with the over the hand method, you can see what's coming up. Where are we getting to with this? Oh, look, we're coming to that area. I say, okay, well, we'll just close it off here at this point. Leave that for now. Let's go back to the other end of this thing. Start here. Okay, we'll have to clear the line. And here we go again, same thing. This line's going to cross a bunch of other lines. Cutting deeply now. I'm going to come again. I'm going to cut lightly, then plunge. Lightly plunge. Lightly down. Cutting right across. When you inspect finished wood blocks, you can, if you look at them really, really, really closely, you can see the scratches where the knife goes right across all the lines. Okay. More suckers. Let's go. Actually, now I got the angle of this knife is not actually so optimal for this carving. I think as I've been sharpening it over the past few days, I've let it drift a little bit. It's hard to, if it changes 1 degree or something when you're sharpening after a week, then I've let the knife go a little bit, and I don't know how to describe this. The angle should be a bit more acute here. And bit by bit sharpening over the past week, I've let it grow a bit wider like that. So it's a bit difficult now to go around these corners. This should be a bit more acute. I see now that if I've let it drift, you don't quite notice it bit by bit until all of a sudden you realize it's too much. So when I'm back on the stone, I have to use the strong stone. Cut the angle back down a bit. Oh, a lot of suckers on this one. I guess this is perhaps the longest tentacle in the print. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as we go down the line. Cuts open. A scratching sound. I've lost my cloth. Just a minute here. Yeah. copy some of that chat so I can catch it later. I know I've been reading it after each session's over. As soon as I get time, I sit down and go through the whole thing, try and get a feeling for what people have been talking about and how this has been. And I really regret not being able to be a more active part of that discussion. It's just not possible. I'm sorry. But I do sit and read it carefully and laugh at this and laugh at that and smile at this. And as I mentioned yesterday, the one something's funny with my mail program. Oh, there's a question sound. The little chunk. Twitch questions. Here we are. Oh, too small. Excuse me here. No, I know. The person's asking about when I made that sewing machine needle thing, what specific kind of stone did I use to make the shape? It doesn't matter. I know you could use a chunk of concrete or something. It doesn't make any difference. We're not delicately fashioning a sharp edge. It's just taking a piece of steel and making a shape on it. So really, you could take a piece of concrete chunk, concrete sidewalk, whatever, and rub on the concrete till you found the shape you want. So it doesn't matter. I use my sharpening stones because I've got them here. Although I have to be careful because this steel, if I rub it back and forth on my sharpening stone, too much pressure, it scratches into the stone. Long story short, nothing. Get a file. It doesn't make any difference. Just make the shape in the steel. There's nothing delicate or archaic or arcane or Japanese. Nothing at all. You're just trying to fashion a specific shape in a piece of rough steel. Look at this. And you saw it happen there. Hard. You can see it there. Dark. That's really hard. Light. That's really light. I came out of the hard place and boop. I got away from me for a second there. So get your microscopes out on the finished print. You'll see a little nick in the corner of one of these suckers. If I don't clean it up when I'm doing test printing, we'll see. You can see those bands. It's light grain, summer grain, winter grain, hard and soft wood. A really good piece of cherry. Minimizes that. This is not a really good piece of cherry. As I mentioned today, in the old days, they would have just thrown this away. What he has sent me, this is nothing. Whatever, keep quiet, Dave. Don't complain about the same thing all the time. Just fix it. Get it done yourself. These are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I think I'll turn around at this point and head back up because they're getting too small here. I want to get my knife sharpened at a bit of a better angle. So before they get too small, just turn around and do the other side, head back up the line to where they get fatter. pot the tip while I'm here, I guess. There we go. Question. Question. From Daniel. Nothing like a little question it would take 25 years to answer. Someone's asking, when did I move to Japan and what was the experience like? Well, the first part's easy. I've been here now 32 years living here. I came in 31 and a half years. I came in 1986 on a 3-month tourist visa. I'm not an overstayer, you know, I do have permission now, but a 3-month tourist visa. I'd been twice before, for 3 months and 3 months, on 3-month, you know, twice on 3-month visits. I'd taken leave of absence from my job in Canada and come to Japan on visits. I was living with a Japanese girl in Canada. I had quite an interest in the country. I was trying printmaking just as a total hobby. So we came twice on visits to see her family, for me to try and find some tools and stuff, and just to generally travel. So we spent 2 trips traveling around for 3 months and staying with her family up in the mountains. I was able to pick up a few simple tools. Oops, what am I doing here? Buy some sample prints. You know, we bought some prints from Adachi and from Yu-Yu-Do and took those prints back to Canada as sort of models for my experiments. You know, no internet, no nothing back then, so just... Well, yeah, one thing led to another. Interest in printmaking developed. She had to come back to take care of her parents. We had 2 kids. We wanted to get them integrated into Japanese culture a bit, have them learn the language natively. So in 1986, I quit my job, sold our stuff, and moved here. At the time, I wasn't even thinking, you know, I can sell prints or make a living as a printmaker. Totally inconceivable, ridiculous idea. Just I wanted to learn more about Japan. As I said, we had to take care of her parents. That was the main one. So I taught English at home. No English school would ever give me a job here. I have no degree. I'm uneducated. I have a beard, dirty jeans. You know, it was hopeless for actually getting a job. I knew this. I didn't even try. But it didn't matter because back then, in the 80s, there were still not so many foreigners on the ground in any given community. So we opened a little English, whatever, practice speaking English with Uncle Dave, in our apartment. That's how we made a living for the first, what was it? I closed it in 91, so I guess it was 5 years. 86 to 91, I was a local English, Uncle Dave's English class. It was great fun. Kids to grandmothers, no textbooks, nothing. Great fun. Ton of work, my God, a ton of work, though. Preparing lesson plans and cards and games and all these stories, all that stuff about, who I am and how I got here and what went on and stuff. There's tons and tons of material about this on my website. There was an old newsletter I did called 100人一緒. And it was my social media back then through the 80s and 90s. I did a newsletter 4 times a year showing collectors of my work what I was doing, where I came from, what was going on, how it's going, how's my family, everything. And I did social media, on paper. And that's all on my website now. So anybody that's sort of interested in that part of it, how did I get to the point where I could make a living about this? If you hunt through the website for the newsletter, the 100人一緒 newsletter, that's a rabbit hole, There's like 25 years of issues all on the website, Biography, autobiography, everything. We had such fun those early years. My God, it was fun. We had a big empty apartment, 2 kids. And within months we were inundated with work. I was making wooden toys. I had no toys for my kids when we came. We just came with a single backpack. So I made toys for my kids. They showed them to their friends. Their friends came over. Their friends' mothers came over. Can I have one? And within days of getting there, I had the Woody Friend Toy Company up and running, making wooden toys. That was a good help for our income for those first few years. I ended up doing exhibitions in a department store and talking about franchising and we had local women working as salespeople. They'd go to daycare centers and sell these toys. It was an incipient business until I had to shut it down. It was impossible. Still got a bunch of them in the basement over in Ome. Kept the samples that we had, and then we had some great original toys, If life had gone slightly in a different direction, or if I had made a different decision on that, I could now have a toy factory. So instead of being a boss of this giant toy factory, here I am carving octopus tentacles. I wonder if I did make the right decision back then. Sorry not to be able to talk live here. I see lots of conversation. As I said, I'll catch it later. Also, I know if you look, I don't know about mobile, but if you're on desktop, if you look below the video viewer, you'll see I've made an attempt now to sort of formalize a schedule for this. And it seems now, after a few days of experimentation, this morning session, I'm speaking Japanese time here, I think it looks pretty steady now. I'll be able to do this pretty much every morning, 6 days a week, not Tuesdays. Every morning at 8 Japanese time. We're going to try and stick to that. And as it's noted in the schedule there that I wrote there, I'll try and do one at 5:30 in the afternoon for the European contingent. But that's going to be much less guaranteeable. If there's somebody late in the shop, I can't just say, go away, I'm going to lock the door. I got things to do. You know, you got to take care of the people. So the 5:30 session may be late. It quite possibly will be late, and in some cases it just may not exist. So please, don't be too disappointed if you try and log on for that and it's not there. I'll try and do it, but the morning one's much more reliable because it's just me in the building. There's nobody else here yet, so the distractions and taking me away from stuff just doesn't happen. So, but in the afternoon, there's a million people around and anything can happen. Hard spot here. It's okay. Treat these suckers like an assembly line, of course. I guess you see what I'm doing. Here we go, down the left side, down the right side. It'd be crazy to sit here spinning the block for each one. It's going to be another quiet day in the shop today. It's Friday, which is normally kind of busy, but we've got a typhoon warning out there. It's going to be a blustery, rainy, windy day, so there won't be a lot of people walking around town. Same with yesterday. It's good. It gave me and the staff time to catch up on stuff. It's not good for a shop to be quiet, but one couple came in yesterday. It was funny. Just around lunchtime, it was blustery, really rainy. They came in, shook off the rain and whatever. I greeted them, and the guy's like, he's got a funny grin, And I've seen this so many times. I see it every day. The guy comes in and he grins, and so I don't know him. He's never been here before, but I know that grin. So I pipe down. I ask, do you know about us, or are we just wandering randomly? He says, no. And I know exactly what he's going to say next. He says, I've been watching the YouTubes. And I know the face, that people are just happy to be here and to see that room where I sit on that stool and introduce the videos. And his wife is sort of rolling her eyes. She's been not so interested, but she's just happy that her husband is, whatever, got something he's enthusiastic about. So, and we chat for a while. talk about this video he's seen, that video he's seen. Whatever, I apologize for this or that. He's, you know. It's so much fun, you know. Sometimes the people are quite overt. They say, like, can we take a picture together? And of course, we take a picture together, you know. Other times people don't. They don't ask that. They're either a bit polite or they don't want to interfere, impose or whatever. And it's so much fun, you know, seeing this pleasure on people's faces who have been enjoying our work. I mean, who wouldn't enjoy having that feeling, you know? So it's sort of always been there in a different way. Back in the 1990s and so, before we had this net thing, I'd have the exhibition once a year, and people who had been collecting the prints the previous year, not all of them of course, but some would come around, and some I remembered and some I wouldn't remember, and some I knew, some I'd never met, and they'd say, you know, thanks for the prints, we're enjoying them and whatever. And it was really cool to have that feedback. But now it's on steroids, of course, you know. So, and in no way are all these people collecting our prints or buying them or whatever, and it doesn't make any difference. It's just so much fun to feel that people are enjoying what we do, you know. X% end up buying something, that's fine, we need that at some point, but it's not a requirement, you know. I would love to visit your shop. I'd be too shy to talk to you. What? Give me a break. I know. I don't know what to say to that. I know, too shy to talk to me. I'm sorry. I know, look, I'm just this guy making woodblock prints, you know. I'm not sure what to say, you know. We're happy to see people who are enjoying our stuff. It's just good news all around, you know. What I've occasionally had is, you know, there's been people in the shop, whatever, and they have ended up talking to us, and then the guy starts apologizing that we can't buy anything. And oh my God, please, don't even go there. It's just, I mean, it's the way our modern society works. We've got this thing where we specialize in different jobs. You make bread, I make prints, and I'll buy your bread. You know, whatever, you know, the division of labor thing. But the idea that anybody who has to come in here, if they walk out without buying something, oh my God, we lost one. It's just not there. It doesn't matter. You know. Please don't be embarrassed about not buying anything or not paying. We don't, I can't say we don't care. That sounds like, I don't know, the people who do buy things. You know what I mean? It's okay. We're doing fine. We're doing all right. We're just happy to see people, you know. So yeah, if you're around, say hello, of course, you know. The one I get embarrassed about is when people are here and they've been here before. And it's, I was going to say, it's possible, it's probable that I won't remember you, you know. Every day a bunch of people in and they remember me and I don't remember them, so please go easy on me for that point. I got that bad yesterday. There was a couple of guys, they were Austrian or German, I don't remember. They'd been here a week ago. And we chatted, and I think actually they'd bought some prints, I think. I don't quite remember actually. And what they did, yesterday, 2 days ago, they were here again. They were getting ready to go home, and they wanted to pick up a couple of small souvenir prints for stuff. I guess they'd been budgeting, and at the end of their trip, they realized they had enough to get a couple of these prints or something. But the thing is, I didn't remember them. And we had actually chatted quite intensively, and it wasn't even a week ago. And yet when they came in, I said, hello, how are you? You know, did you come in randomly? Do you know who we are? And they looked at me for a minute like, what is this idiot saying? You know. And then they realized that I just, too much overload, and I just didn't remember them. They were okay. They were gracious about it. But they must have thought, you know, Jesus, you know, how much of a hypocrite was he being so friendly to us a week ago, and now he doesn't even know who we are. You know. And I don't know. I have no answer for that. I wrestle with it, you know. It makes me look fake and false, you know, when I don't even remember after 1 week who they were. So. How are we for time today? We're still okay, right? Just past 9. Yeah, we're coming up to staff time. Today it should be, who's coming in today? Suga-san, the printer. She'll be coming through the room, I think. Matsumura-kun, the newest shop guy, he's on duty today. And actually, I'm on party duty today. The other staff, Teiko-san is off on her summer holidays. Kawai-san, our other really experienced guy for doing parties, is off. So I'm on party duty today. And the first party's at 10 o'clock. So when this gets to 9:30 or so, I have got to get out of here, get the paper ready, get the brushes warmed up. Here we go. That must be Matsumura-san, I guess. We'll see. Yeah, he must be putting the flag up. He's coming up and down the stairs, getting things organized. So the light's going on. Good morning. How you doing? Hello.
Fine, yes.
We're live now. You're on air. So don't say anything bad. 10時からパーティーありますね。そう。夜の間にようやく入ったんですが、僕まだ紙もまだ見てないし、ちょっとハケを濡らしてください。紙は私これ終わってから紙を用意しますが。
新聞置いてきます。
2人ですね。これからのパーティーですね。
はい。
はい 台風はどうですか？近くなる？台風15号。あんまり天気予報見てない？今風ないでしょ？
上陸はしないみたいですけど。
うん、そっか。じゃあ太平洋の方に？
そうですね、海の方には行ける
Okay. はいはい。Just sounds like the typhoon is not so much heading our way, staying out on the Pacific, so. Round and round, round and round. It's clear. Okay, just a couple minutes now here. We'll close this off at 9:30, I guess. Today is the first of the month, so the bookkeeping. It's payday. Aoyama-san's going to help me with that. And we put the invoices out for the subscription prints last night. So I know what I'm going to see when I open that mail folder this morning. That's mostly automatic processing. The payments for that stuff come in through PayPal. My bookkeeping system picks it up. And the people in Ome get the automatic notice to send out the prints. So that's not so bad. But I've still got to oversee it, make sure it's running smooth. Payroll is the big one. We've got 18 or 19, I don't remember now. We had one of our young ladies leave us last week. I don't want to talk about it just yet. Not bad circumstances, but very, very difficult circumstances for us. So we're actually struggling at the moment. We need a few more people. Printers. There's a young man coming on Monday for a interview/meeting. We're trying to. We can't possibly start new trainees from zero at the moment. We're just flooded with work, and we can't possibly sit there and spend time with them. So what we're trying to find is people that were in this field years ago, but who left. Ayama-san, good morning. 今ライブでしょ。
そうですね。
はい。So what we've been trying to do is put feelers out to try and find people that were in this field before, but that who left, you know. Because we've got a ton of work to offer. Oh no, Deda-san, I'm sorry I didn't write to you yesterday. Oh, yesterday was kind of crazy. I'm very sorry. Soka. I know the prints are here. Don't worry, prints are here. So actually, we're live right now. You're on international TV here.
Oh.
Actually, better than TV. This is Twitch. Do you know what Twitch is? There's a screen. Oh, where am I? This is my carving. This is live right now. People are watching the carving, and this is another camera here. So if I turn this is Owner Deda-san. Say hello to 1,000 people.
どうぞどうぞやってください。
And what they're doing, people over there are chatting and talking and stuff. I can't possibly watch it at the same time. So hello, whatever. So I'll come back later and read it, but I can't. I can't do it. We do this each day from 8 o'clock to about 9:30, and then again in the evenings. It's Twitch.
へ
And it's turning out to be good fun. It's really, really good fun. So,
はいはい。おはよう。
and without wanting to get in a long story, Owner Deda-san's a young lady. She worked for us for 1 or 2 days. That's all. As a party host, she came to do the print party one day. And I don't remember what that day. I said to that day, I want you to come and stay. I don't remember
そうです。
that day. So she's doing a print party. She was so good at it. We said, please stay. So she came and learned a bit, but then whatever, boyfriends or something. It doesn't matter. We talk. So,
違います違います。
so she's here today. She's arranged an exhibition of our work at a place where she's working in Yokohama. And I've been really late in getting ready for it. So she's come today here to crack the whip and get going. So it means actually I should get going now. I should get off here. She wants to pick up some prints. So yeah, I'd better quit. If I keep on like this, too many things in my mind now. So, okay. We'll call it there for the day. More tentacle. Okay, as I said, the plan, 5:30 tonight. I hope to be back on this, but we'll see. No guarantees. Thanks again for watching. As I mentioned, I'll have a read through this later on. Get a cup of coffee, sit there and read through, see what people have been chatting about. So, thank you very much, or we'll see what I find in here. Signing off right now, and I'll be back again tomorrow, definitely. Here's Suga-san kana. Tomorrow morning for sure, and maybe tonight. Thank you again, gang, for watching and for the support. See you next time.